MOZA Racing has been building a reputation for producing sim racing parts of an impressive quality for more affordable prices than you might be used to. And here we have another. This is my review of the FSR Formula wheel from MOZA Racing. Alright, so as mentioned, this is the FSR wheel from MOZA Racing. Sorry for any weird reflections on that screen, but that screen is actually the highlight of this wheel. If you look at this wheel, some of you may immediately recognize the styling from something I've reviewed in the past, along with a number of other YouTubers. It's this, this GS wheel. As you can see, there's a lot of similarities between the two. Now, this GS wheel, this is definitely the best wheel I own. It is an absolutely phenomenal piece of machinery, and the FSR, thankfully, has a lot in common with it. So you can see across the front here, the most notable thing is the screen. I'll talk about that in just a second. There's also a number of other features, of course. Buttons, there's a cluster of 3 here, there's more buttons there, and then 3 more across here. Those are lighted. You can choose from among 9 colors. And then in here, there are these rotary dials, and then of course these 5 knobs across here. Oh, the dials you can press, by the way. So yeah, dials, 5 knobs, and carbon fiber front here. Most of that front is carbon fiber, 5mm if I'm not mistaken. There is also 2 joysticks here, also pressable, so there's just a ton of buttons. And if we flip it around here, the quick release is a little bit different. This is a thinner style of quick release. I'll get my GS again. So if you kind of look at these from this angle, you can probably see the, maybe this is better. You can probably see the differences in the size of the quick release, much larger on this GS wheel. They've kind of streamlined it for this FSR. A little bit thinner in the shaft. Doesn't really make a difference, frankly, but it's the same style of quick release, which is excellent, by the way. It goes on and no shaking whatsoever and just immediately snaps in. This FSR wheel does offer wireless connectivity. There is a little RJ port at the bottom of the back here, but you don't need it. You just plug this directly onto your MOZA wheelbase, just snap it on rather, and it connects wirelessly, including the screen functionality. But looking around back again, you can hear those notoriously loud shifters, but dual magnetic shifters here with these little carbon fiber shifter plates. What would you call those? Anyway, dual analog paddles on the back as well for your clutch, analog, and magnetic shifters. So leather wrapping here on the grips, both sides obviously, and then this back piece here up top is metal, and there isn't much plastic to speak of other than the buttons. I guess what surrounds the screen is plastic, but yeah, it's super feature rich. This is a 4.3-inch screen here on the front of this FSR, and connects wirelessly. The pinout is different here. You guys won't care about this, but there's a number of pins here that enable that wireless connectivity, and there's about twice the number of pins that are on the GS wheel. So super feature rich, this FSR wheel. It's really impressive. $650 is the MSRP, and yeah, it packs a lot. There's a ton of features here. I've had a chance to drive it. I drove it before I did the opening, and it drives great. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that now. Okay, so impressions of driving with the MOZA Racing FSR wheel. There's a few factors I think are worth mentioning. First, the wheel is very comfortable with or without gloves. The leather wrapping on the handles isn't ultra plush or anything, but certainly comfortable enough to not cause undue hand fatigue or soreness. The rotary knobs on board are fine, not great, but fine. I do think that black chicken head style knobs would have been better, but the ones that are included do the job. And I'd rate my satisfaction a little bit higher with the buttons than the knobs. Having the lighted buttons allows you to sort of mentally group the functionality, and I never found myself confused looking for the right button, and they do give a pronounced click when pressed. I really have no issues with them whatsoever. Overall, the buttons, knobs, and dials could easily all be reached, and I didn't find myself having to contort my hand in any weird way to change any in-game functions. And finally, of course, we have to talk about the screen. The screen is something that's going to attract a lot of people to this wheel, and I'm happy to say that it performs well. I'm running a beta version of the software, so the electrical energy meter wasn't working, but all other functionality was there. I'm sure it'll be corrected by the time this goes to market. The screen is bright and can easily be read. The available preset screen layouts are fine to good. Nothing really blew me away or impressed me like some of the SimHub dashes we have, but generally speaking, almost any live reading you could want in-game is available in one or more of the MOZA presets. Is the information displayed on the wheel any different or better than what can be achieved with a good heads-up display? Not really, but it does potentially add a layer of immersion if you want to declutter your screen and just have the pure racing view on screen, but have a lot of pertinent information still within sight, like real Formula race drivers do. This could be the wheel for you. So in summary, it's a truly excellent wheel, comfortable, easy to use, and packed with plenty of buttons, knobs, and dials. It's not perfect, but there's no shortcomings here that came even close to ruining my experience with the FSR wheel. Alright, so final thoughts on the MOZA Racing FSR Formula wheel. Overall, phenomenal. What a tremendous piece of sim racing hardware. I love it. It's the best wheel I own. I just got back from vacation. One of the first things I wanted to do when I got home was fire this up and put in some more time with it. Just fantastic. I really love it. So let's talk about the pros, neutrals, and cons of the MOZA Racing FSR Formula wheel. And we'll start with the pros, of course. And first thing is the features. It's just unbelievably feature rich. It's got, you know, these 5 knobs. It's got the 4.3 inch screen. It's got all the lighted buttons. It's got magnetic shifters, analog paddles, leather grips. I mean, this thing just has just about everything you could want. Unbelievably deep in terms of its feature set. Joysticks, of course, which I haven't touched on very much, but when I look at this wheel, there's nothing I can think of that's immediately lacking from it. Truly impressive in terms of its feature set. And also, of course, that brings us to price. And relative to the market, I think $650 is a very, very impressive deal. Now, is $650 something to be taken lightly? No, I'm not saying run out and buy 2. I'm not saying this is in everyone's budget. But if you are looking at more of a feature-rich wheel, you know, all the carbon fiber and leather and lighted buttons and, you know, integrated screen, everything like that, is this a good deal relative to that market? Yeah, I believe it is at $650. And also the Pit House software. It's a very impressive piece of software and allows you to control just about any parameter that I would want. There are some minor features that are missing, but overall, I think the Pit House software really nails it, and it's one of MOZA's stronger features is the level of customization and the preset building and things like that that you can do through the Pit House software. Moving on to the neutral now, and we'll start off with the screen and the screen display, what can be shown on screen. You have to use the MOZA presets, which is good and it's bad. It's bad because it's not as impressive as a lot of the SimHub dashes that we see. It also doesn't allow customization of what's on the screen, but at the same time, it's very clean. It's very easy to use. You just simply either through the wheel or through the Pit House software, select the screen you want to use, the dash display that you want to use, and then it's up and running. There's no questions of integration and things like that and lack of functionality. It shows up in the Pit House software, you select it, and then it just kind of works. So I put that in the neutral category, as well as the rotary knobs. I don't find them to be fantastic. I think they're just kind of okay for me. They don't really blow my mind. Sometimes they do feel a little bit slippery, especially if you have gloves on. It's a little bit tough to find it. I think the chicken head style is my preference. I'll put it in the neutral category because there's nothing actually wrong with them. I think I would just prefer the chicken head style. And then lastly, in the neutral category, I would put these shifters. They're pretty loud, and there are accessories that come with the FSR wheel that can quiet that noise. But out of the box, it is a comparatively loud shifter, so just something to be aware of. My suspicion is that anyone who buys this wheel won't be sharing a space with too many roommates. This is a pretty high-end piece of sim racing hardware, so I suspect you'll have sort of a dedicated space, and people will be used to a little bit of noise, so it won't be an issue for most people, but they are comparatively loud. And finally, in the cons category, and there isn't much, and nothing I'm going to say here ruins my enjoyment of this wheel whatsoever. Number one is selecting screens, selecting what's shown on this display. It can be done through the wheel, but you actually have to, and this is not selectable. You can't at this point change anything to improve this in the Pit House software, but you have to engage, I believe it's the right clutch pedal, and then use this right joystick to change between the screens. So kind of annoying because mid-race, of course, you wouldn't want to be engaging your clutch paddle. So just kind of annoying. Not the end of the world, but it would be nice if it was just, if there was one button that could be used to do that function. And then finally, choosing the color of all these lighted buttons. The way to do that is you have to hold down these two dials up here where my thumbs are, and then you can select the colors. It's kind of a pain. I don't know why you can't do this in the Pit House software. It's been a complaint of mine since the GS wheel review, and needs to be improved, frankly, but those are my only two complaints. At the $650 price point, I think it's very tough to beat. I think MOZA has packed a lot into here, and it's my new favorite wheel. It's my new best wheel. I really love it. I think MOZA nailed it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Look for lots more from this wheel in the future of Sim Racing 604. I plan to use this a lot. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.